We get that you have to get stuff done, all right? But ideally, you can be in the moment without thinking about the next thing that you have to do from this perspective. And none of this is like a scolding, right? So we're not like you're bad if you're not in the moment. That's not it. It's more the idea of helpful things from the spiritual realm to help us live full lives where we are and not thinking about where I have to be, or that time's going so slow, or that time's going so fast.
When life throws a challenge at you, one thing is certain: to find a resolution for every issue, every problem, for everybody, there's more than one way. Hello, everyone. I'm Whitney Ross. Welcome to another episode of the More Than One Way podcast. With me, as always, my good friend Thom Rasnick. Thom, how you doing today?
I'm good, Whitney, but I've just had this experience the other day that I can't get out of my mind.
Want to talk about it?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked. I really am, because I've been thinking about it. So I took my son to the airport the other day, and I was coming back from McGee Tyson on Pellissippi and all that, driving, and the traffic was semi-bad. You know how, kind of took a little bit of time, and I wanted to go exercise, so that was on my mind. I was thinking I'm going to get to exercise today. Didn't have to work. And so I was in that mindset. Mm-hmm. Driving along, come down North Shore, and then all of a sudden traffic stops. And there's nowhere to go. Everybody's just backed up. But before I got to that stop, I had turned on a podcast, and they were starting to talk about climate change, and I'm very interested in climate change. I follow it a lot. So I was really engaged with it. So that we stopped, it didn't really bother me that much. I was just sitting there listening to the podcast, and it was like an episode in one of those podcasts that have 3 or 4 episodes, like a news type podcast. And I was listening to it, and I was fine, just there, not really thinking about it, just into the podcast. And then all of a sudden the podcast ended, and I realized we hadn't moved. Okay, so then I start to feel my heart racing a little bit, like, what the hell? What's going on? Why are we still sitting here? And I can't see up in front of me to show me why. Gotcha. So I was like, what's going on? So all of a sudden it just starts feeling like, to me, I've been sitting there forever. And that time was just creeping along. And I start to get nervous. I'm thinking, I've got to do something. I've got to find a way out of this. Why is time going so slow? And that's what's on my mind. How did that happen? I mean, one minute I'm listening to a show and I'm into it, same car, same air condition, not moving anywhere, and I'm fine. Next minute, after the show's over, and I realize that I'm just sitting there, time's going so slow. What's going on? And I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
So what in the world, Whitney, is that? Have you ever had that experience?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I think we've all had that experience where we've had something where we come to that moment when we're just, you can almost feel it physically come over you with the idea of the feeling and the emotion of what is happening.
Yeah.
Why is this happened?
Why and the why is this happened, and the why is this happened, and it makes it seem like time is just creeping along. Mm-hmm. And that I've got to do something to make it
to
not
change it
do
somehow.
This.
Yeah.
Right. Like somehow, and what I realized is people have experiences like that, like you said, all the time, but it's time going slow or time flies.
Yeah.
So it's the other experience. Somebody was telling us about she was getting ready to go on this big trip going to Italy. Right? And it was like the countdown to the trip. You have that, and the countdown to the trip took forever. Once again, so time is just creeping along. Yeah. Creeping. Then finally you get to go on the trip. And the trip's fun. And it's so much fun. And when she was engaged with the trip, it was great, not even thinking about time. But then it got to be so much fun that she started thinking, wait, this is going too fast. I got to slow it down.
Slow it down, right.
Right. Okay, so there's the experiences of time. creeping along, going too fast. And what I realized is time is just time, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way we've measured time. Now, we could get into the whole physics thing where people talk about time is an illusion. But I don't really want to go down that black hole, right? I don't want to try to crawl back out of that black hole.
We'll save that for another time.
So let's just leave that as, I wish I hadn't even said that. Nathan, just take that out.
Some people felt time slow down.
Yeah,
when you mentioned that. They're like,
right.
no, Tom.
That's right. But really it's, so it's 24 hours all the time. And it goes second by second, right? Minute by minute. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. Time stays the same. It's our experience of time.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't feel that way.
Right.
And what's that all about? And the whole spiritual realm tries to help people deal with those experiences. Mm-hmm. The experiences of either time feeling like it's creeping on and it's never going to end, or things are going so fast, I can't catch up. Mm-hmm. Or I can't even believe how fast time goes.
And it's not just an awareness of it dragging or it going fast. It's what that brings as well. That brings anxiety and worry and tension, and just that we have to respond to it in some way. Yeah. When we kind of hit that realization where all of a sudden it feels like it's changed, that we're in some kind of different timeline.
Right.
It brings a lot of emotions with it.
It does. It does. And that's why, one of the reasons why, one of the oldest and time-tested spiritual tools to try to help with that is meditation, right? It's some type of meditation where you're paying attention to something like your breath or a word, or maybe you're focused on a particular, like a candle light or something like that. Something where your mind is focused on something, or is just letting things go, so that you can learn how to just be in the moment. Did that make sense? I could talk more about meditation, but it's finding something that helps you get in the moment where you are and stay there, so that when your mind starts racing, this is going too slow, this is going too fast, it can bring you back to center. It can bring you back to the place of, no, just calm down. It's okay. Breath is a big one for that. Take a breath and be here, right? And that's one of the big benefits of doing something like meditation, is to try to help with that.
Yeah, and I think that in the moment, that's the key. When you think about you being in the situation with the traffic, I would imagine what's running through your head are the things that you had planned to do that then feels like you're losing time to do those things.
Right.
Versus being able to just be where you are.
Yeah, just let the moment be what the moment is. And that's a helpful way to try to help time either on one level speed up and on the other level slow down. Because the biggest thing is me in the whole meaning the person. It's not that time is going faster or slower. It's that I'm experiencing it either fast or slow. So once again, meditation is trying to help me find a way to find balance within that. Time going fast, time going slow. Another way to do it, and I just had this experience too, is with babies.
With babies? What do you mean?
Babies help us. Okay, so what I mean is, so I went on vacation, and my granddaughter was there with us on vacation, and along with some other people that weren't as important as my granddaughter. So she was there, and that's all that mattered. So, and we went to this pool, and we stayed at a cottage that was about a half a mile away from where the resort pool was, and so they had a shuttle that would bring us back and forth. Right, and so the shuttle brought us to the pool, and we stayed there, and we had a great time, and we got out, and everybody was happy, and it was great, And we went to get on the shuttle, and the guy said, "Oh, I have to take these people somewhere. I'll be back in 10 minutes." We thought, 10 minutes, that's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
10 minutes. So we're standing there with our granddaughter, and it was great for 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and then 20 minutes. And then I'm starting to get bothered, right?
Yeah.
And should I be mad now? I've paid for this. Should I be mad? Time is going very slow as I stand here. Mm-hmm. And he's wasting my time, right? And so I started thinking, but then I started thinking, I don't really want to get upset because I'm holding my granddaughter. And I feel like she'll get that energy. If I get upset, she'll get it. So I'm trying to pull back. And so I start watching her. And there was a fan above us where we were standing. And she was so into the fan, right? The fan was the most amazing thing in the world. And so for however long, I don't even know how long, we were watching the fan, she and I.
Yeah.
And it was so great. And then, then she started watching something else. And next thing I know, I look at the clock, 20 more minutes ago. We've been standing there for 30 minutes. And so I start getting frustrated again, getting upset. We say something to the people. Mm-hmm. We have to wait. And so I start watching her again. And she wants to get down. So we go inside. There's a little lobby, and she's crawling around, and she's learned how to stay. So she was teaching me how to stay in the moment. How to say, no, Grandpa, we're right here. She doesn't call me Grandpa. She calls me Papa. But Papa. Well, she doesn't call me anything yet because she can't talk, but she's gonna call me Papa.
She will.
Okay, so we're just right there, and all of a sudden, then time just goes away. I just wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about being there with her. Okay, so meditation can help.
Gotcha.
Help us to learn how to stay in the moment. But if meditation isn't your thing. Go rent a kid. Go rent a baby. All right. Have a little baby for a while, because they'll teach us how to stay in the moment. And that's the thing. And then time isn't going fast, nor is it going slow.
Right.
You're just there.
Well, and it's interesting because in thinking about you and your granddaughter together, you're both in the same space, but you're experiencing time differently.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it's individual. Like you said, I mean, it really is the person. Where they are and what they're perceiving.
No doubt about it. And a lot of times the time going fast stuff, like you say, it depends on the person, is oftentimes looking backward. Okay, meaning like, okay, so you go somewhere like we were talking about our friend who went to Italy, or so you go on some other kind of a trip that you're just really into. Where you're engaged completely and utterly in what you're doing, right? So time's not, or you're there with your granddaughter. So time's not an issue. You're just there. It's just part of the deal. 2 weeks later, you look back on it, and then realize, God, that went fast.
Yeah.
Or 5 years later, you look back on it, and my granddaughter's now 6.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did that happen?
Where did that get? Yeah.
Right? So it's oftentimes looking back on it like that, where it feels like it's going so fast. And the way to slow it down is to try to stay in the moment. Is to try to remember without judgment of how fast or how slow it went. But just remember how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
Or terrible, it can be that too. Right. So that's the, I appreciate you talking with me about this because it's helping me to see, the whole deal about time has to do with the person.
Yeah. I think it's just such a challenge, with how many things are so time organized or focused, or, we've talked about, being in a society that's very production oriented, consumer oriented. I mean, time is so much a part of what we're around that it's hard to be in the moment. It's hard to find ways to do that.
Yeah. So it's like meditation, be with a child. Animals can help.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? So an animal, so being with a dog or a cat or anything that doesn't have that same kind of, I've got to get something done. We get that you have to get stuff done. All right. But ideally you can be in the moment doing whatever it is you're doing without thinking about the next thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
From this perspective. And none of this is like a scolding, right? So we're not like, you're bad if you're not in the moment. That's not it. It's more the idea of helpful things from the spiritual realm to help us live full lives where we are as we are, and not thinking about either where I have to be or where I've been, or that time's going so slow or that time's going so fast. Right? So that's why I wanted to talk about this kind of stuff, because it's so easy to just fall into those traps.
Yeah.
Of either time going too fast or time going too slow. And then all of a sudden my life just is passed before my eyes.
Yeah.
So either like when I was sitting in traffic, I'm upset because I have to sit in traffic and I'm wasting time, or I'm getting overly sentimental or even begrudging how fast my life has gone when I look back on it, rather than being thankful for the moment that I have right now or the times that I had before.
Yeah.
Or even that I get to sit in an air-conditioned car listening to a podcast and I just have to sit there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Or spend time with my granddaughter,
Yeah.
which is the best of all.
Well, and you talked about her getting fascinated with the fan, or whatever else. And I think it's, so interesting. Sometimes you'd mentioned like being with a pet. Sometimes it's just observing something as well. You can be in nature and see an animal in nature or see something in nature and just really take a breath and start to think about how incredible that is, how it exists and what it does and the natural patterns that it has. I think that's another way that can really help.
Yeah, you're a real big runner. Do you see that when you run?
I do. I'll run past an interesting tree or I'll see something along the way and just think about it, as I'm running, and it becomes very meditative.
Yeah.
For me, just to be outside and to be in a different environment and just to not necessarily be thinking about anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I'm doing something, but I'm not necessarily going somewhere specific or I'm just doing something and I'm just observing where I am.
Yeah. Something that you really like to do.
Yeah.
And it's all those things. So here's another piece to help with living in the moment and helping time to not feel fast or slow is do the things that help you to not take life for granted. What are the things that help you with that?
Mm-hmm.
What helps you to see life as gift and not as a task to be completed, sure, or a test, mm-hmm, or
some kind of schedule, or
right, or how much can I get done? You can get done as much as you need to get done. But the big thing is what helps you to see life in such a way that you don't take stuff for granted, especially the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That can seem like, oh, this is just things that I have to do to get to what I need to do.
Yeah. Because, for most of our lives, we're in a very routine, we have some of the same habits, and we do the same things, and we go to the same places, and, so you can kind of get in a little bit of a lull or just,
Yeah. Everybody has routines, and routines are extremely helpful, and they can be helpful for the way we live and helpful for our life until, once again, they become ways for us to kind of get doled out, go on autopilot, and then the next thing you know, where'd the time go, right?
Yeah.
Where'd my life go?
Yeah. So what do you do when you're in one of those moments where maybe it's a moment of great discomfort and you really honestly would kind of wish it would go faster, or you wish you could speed it up, or maybe you see someone that's in a challenging situation and you wish for them that it could go more quickly.
Okay. So first of all is it's not going more quickly. You might experience it. The things that I'm about to say might help you to experience it more quickly, but it's still the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So one thing is, and this is, so say you're on a car trip and it's taking forever, right?
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? So hopefully you'll dream if you go to sleep, but even if you don't, it will seem like the trip has gone faster.
Sure.
Okay. So that's an easy checkout.
Yeah.
Now you can't always go to sleep, and sometimes going to sleep is not helpful.
Right.
Meaning, like, so say you have somebody. I recently had a friend whose father just passed away, and she, for 6 months to a year, she watched as he kind of almost, his whole body almost prepared him to let go and die. And she said, not one moment of me watching that or participating or being with my father in that was comfortable. She said, but there was so much beauty in the uncomfortableness because I was with him in the reality of living. And the reality of living is we will die. All of us.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so while she might have wanted it to go faster, or maybe sometimes want it to go slower, but in this instance, maybe you want it to go faster because it seems like your loved one needs it to go faster. That's a time to really be there and stay in that moment and stay in that uncomfortableness, because something will come
There's
from
something
it.
there.
Something will come.
Yeah.
The answer isn't always find a way to be more comfortable. Sometimes the answer is, as she said so well, sitting in the uncomfortableness and experiencing what comes from that. And that will help with the whole time thing. Both of those things.
Yeah. The
The sleeping's probably more comfortable.
As long as you're the passenger.
As long as you're that's right. As long as you're the passenger. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, Whitney, because just in case.
Somebody might be driving along.
That's right.
I would like a nap right now. Thank you.
Hey, this is a good time.
This is so soothing.
Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. Because maybe that's even a third thing within the whole. You want time to speed up, and what helps you within that, and that it could be finding a movie or a podcast or a song, or something that just helps you to engage it.
Yeah.
Engage what's going on. Engage the moment.
Yeah.
Those things help. But if you haven't said this enough, the big thing is time doesn't go any faster or slower regardless. It's me experiencing time.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that's so an added challenge in our day and time is that, so you and I are talking, and you could start to get bored with what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not saying it fast enough, or maybe I'm stumbling over my words, or maybe you always have your phone. So you get bored with me, you can turn to your phone and go, entertain me for a while while this guy babbles on. Right. So the thing is, my friend's suggestion about, well, sometimes we'll sit in the boredom then. Be bored for a little bit and see what that does.
We're not good at that.
Don't always try to just overstimulate your mind, because, yes, that will then make time seem like it's going faster. And maybe, like we said, maybe that's what you think you want.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes sit in it. Sit in your boredom for a second and see what comes.
Yeah. Well, Thom, we've had a great time talking about time, but we're out of time. So we'll wrap this up. And again, we're always interested in and what's on your mind and what you're experiencing, and we'd love your input. If you have something that you'd like for us to talk about, or if this conversation has sparked something that you'd like that conversation to continue, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you and always appreciate you joining us for each episode. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the More Than One Way podcast, brought to you by the Center for Spiritual Practice in Knoxville, Tennessee. We really appreciate your time and would love to hear your feedback. You can reach us by emailing hello@morethanonewaypod.com, or you can connect with us on social media using the handle @morethanonewaypod. If you found this episode helpful, we hope that you'll share it with your friends, with your family, with people you work with all the people who you know. Thank you, and take care.